Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm doing a little thing for Thursday Night Live. So I have another commitment in Kima. So if you're not joining me in Kima, you're watching Thursday Night Live, right? Because every Thursday is Thursday Night Live with Ruth Theresa, and that is so much fun. But today we are talking about soul contracts, and I get asked about soul contracts quite a lot, and I have for a long period of time. So I want you to understand soul contracts are not something super scary or heebie-jeebie or anything else. It is a great way to kind of get you that in-depth information of who's supposed to be in your life, why they're supposed to be in your life, what is your life purpose. All of that is going to be revealed when you start studying your soul contracts that you have with not only yourself but with other people in your life. So let's talk about it. So soul contracts are based on kind of like what happens before we come into this life. And so we're kind of up in heaven, kind of like, oh, those look like good parents, or these look like some parents that would really teach me some amazing lessons. Not always the best parents. Sometimes we choose, but that's kind of the way it happens. And kind of before we're born, we kind of start making negotiations with other people around us. Maybe our potential friends that we're going to meet in school, maybe our potential brother or sister that's going to be coming, being born after us, or even our soul contracts can be for people that are going before us. Like, you're going to be born and 2 or 3 years later, here I'm going to jump in. So that's kind of our soul bond to them. It doesn't mean the soul bond lasts for our whole lifetime, like we're supposed to be best friends with them forever. That soul contract could be for just a short period of time. So it could be for a few weeks, a few months, a few years, or it could be all of your lifetime. So whatever that is, it's one of those. Each one has a different length. So kind of the best way to put how a soul contract is kind of brought into into existence. So the best way to put it is if you cross two like really different things. If you crossed like little girls playing house with a football huddle. And I know you're probably going, what? I know, I understand this. So little girls playing house. The best way to put this into understanding is you're going to be in a group of energies, souls, kind of just hanging around, and you're going to kind of be like, you're going to be the mommy, you're going to be the daddy, you're going to be the older brother, you're going to be the younger brother, you're going to be the cousin that lives across the way, you're going to be the sister that does this, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of really put all of the people into place, just like little girls playing out. So if you've ever watched them, they do it all the time, like, you be the daddy this time and you be the mommy. It doesn't matter. You're going to pick and choose what role you're going to play. Are you going to be male? Are you going to be female? That sort of thing. Kind of that's the little girl playing house. So let's add the football huddle. And the football huddle is kind of thinking in advance, kind of like, we're going to throw the ball this way, we're going to do it this way. So kind of like you and I are going to have a problem with communication. So our whole lifetime together, we're going to have times that we really get along, and then there's other times that we're going to have miscommunications. And how are we going to work through that? That's what we're going to learn on Earth. We're going to learn this. How do we deal with this? You're going to be my boss at some point, or you're going to be my best friend at some point, and you and I are going to have a problem with this, or issues with this, or we're going to have to work through this together, and how are we going to support each other this time in this lifetime? So all of that is kind of pre-done up, and so it's kind of all written down of this is what's going to happen. Now, when we're born, all of this kind of takes shape a little bit differently, because all of that information is kind of left in heaven, is the best way to put it. Like, all of that is left up there. And so then you're kind of like, okay, so you get here and you start kind of like making decisions for your life. You start kind of like going to school and making friends and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you'll meet people that you're just like instantly best buddy friends. That's probably someone you have a soul contract with. Like I said, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever or anything else. It just means that they're in that soul contract with you for a period of time. And kind of what we're going to do is kind of like become become best friends with them. We're going to learn about them. They're going to learn about us. And we kind of start to remember, like, maybe they're supposed to be our best friend forever. And then if they do something and they break up that friendship, we're kind of like, oh my gosh, they disappointed us. Nope, that was the soul contract. And a lot of times people hold on to those soul contracts. Like, you were supposed to be my best friend forever. When it's like, no, I was supposed to just be your best friend and teach you about loyalty, to teach you about trusting your instincts or whatever it is. That can be it. So that's kind of one of those amazingly interesting parts. I will tell you that kind of the soul contracts, no matter how they're written, they can always be renegotiated. I know. So someone who was supposed to be your best friend may not be your best friend. Someone who is supposed to be your younger brother or sister that decided at the last minute, like, I'm not going to be your brother and sister. I'm going to do something else. Whatever that is, that's kind of what we deal with so many times. And we're kind of like, I think this is supposed to be my person. This is my soulmate. This is the person I'm supposed to be with forever. And it can kind of like bond us to people incorrectly, thinking like they're my person. They're the one I'm supposed to marry and have kids with and buy a house and buy cars or whatever else. And then they're not holding up their end of the agreement. And it's one of those, a lot of times, unless you kind of do your meditation and kind of go to the Akashic records and figure out what your true life contract was with them, what their soul contract was with them, it's one of those, it can be like, I feel like they were supposed to do this. And it's one of those, maybe that was something brought up during the negotiations, but it wasn't signed off on. It wasn't in the contract. So it's kind of like, here we go. They're not living up to it. And then also part of the thing is they can kind of bring in parts of soul contracts that it's kind of like, I thought we were going to do this. And instead of doing this, you're sitting on the side of the road going like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. And you're going like, but this was our soul contract. This is what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to figure this out. Nope, not going there. So then you're kind of like, now what do I do? And a lot of times you'll hear people like, 15 years ago, this person was supposed to go into business with me and they backed out at the last minute. Okay, they backed out at the last minute. So maybe they were supposed to be in a soul contract with you to run a business with you and they changed their mind, but you're still mad about it 15 years later. Like, you got to keep going. Or maybe that was the lesson they were supposed to teach you. Maybe that was the life lesson you needed to learn of who you should trust. And maybe it was better that they broke up the relationship then and the contract then instead of being in business with you. Maybe they were going to embezzle money. Maybe they were going to, do whatever, run up a big bill and like walk out of the business and you're stuck with owing all that. So that's where it's kind of like, oh, maybe it was better that way. And a lot of times we don't realize it until later on. We're kind of like that hindsight being 2020, like, I didn't realize it was so much better not going into business with this person or whatever else. So that's kind of one of those interesting energies of kind of like, how do we make this happen? How do we kind of get that contract in the right place at the right time? It's kind of like, soul contracts are kind of made of kind of like different parts of it. So it's kind of like they can be positive ones where we're going to work together and we're going to be best friends and all that kind of stuff. Some of them can be negative, like I'm going to cheat you out of money or I'm going to steal your husband or wife, or they can be just neutral, like it doesn't really help you or doesn't really hurt you. So it's kind of like, here we go. But it really depends on the soul contract and how it was written and what was stated in it and all that kind of stuff. But I guarantee you, soul contracts really, in a very positive way, should be really pushing you to be the best you can be and bringing your pure heart and your devotion to what you want to do and what are your intentions, what do you want to do. Another part of a soul contract can be with your angels and guides. They will make contracts with you to kind of what are you supposed to learn in this life and kind of that sort of thing. And I will tell you, most of the time people kind of really have their life purpose backwards. They always think it's almost like a teacher giving an assignment, like God gives you the assignment. You're supposed to build this building and you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do this. That's your life purpose. No questions asked, like done. No, your life purpose is what you set up in advance, what you like to do. And I guarantee you, your life purpose is never going to be something that you're going like, I hate this. It's not going to be that. It is not going to be something that you absolutely hate. It is going to usually be something that's really, really fun. Kind of a little side note on this, and it's usually not what you do for a business. It's not what you do for a living or what you do for work or your career. It's usually not that. It may be an aspect of it, but it's not the whole thing. So it's kind of like, What am I supposed to be doing? It's one of those, what are the things that you love to do? What are the things that you're going, like, if I could do this all day, I would be happy as anything. I would just be so deliriously happy if I could do. That's probably a part of your soul, your life contract or your soul purpose. So it's kind of like, here we go. Kind of, what do we want to do? But a lot of times people think it's like up to God and he gives you an assignment and you have to do it no matter what. No. You picked it, you chose it, you decided what you wanted to do. Now, he may have given you yeah, that's a good one, you can do that. But it's not up to him. It's not up to God. It's not the creator energy of like telling you what to do. That's kind of the cool part about it. One of the reasons why soul contracts are put into place is a very important reason. It's because usually means that person is more likely to kind of step up and do what they promised they were going to do. They promised to do this, or they promised to be that, or they promised to do this with you, or whatever else. Soul contracts exist so kind of like people can like learn about humanity. They can learn that you can't trust everybody. They're meant to learn like who are people that you can trust, who are the people you can't trust, kind of trusting your intuition. Soul contracts usually have like a positive or a negative kind of connotation to them. So like positive soul contracts can be designed to teach you about like individuals, like coming in with a pure heart, kind of like having good intentions for other people, helping other people, like working together with other people. They can also kind of bring in this kind of like, we're going to gain wisdom together. We're going to go to college and we're going to learn all this stuff together, learning about life, kind of learning about the world in general, those kind of life lessons that you're going to come up with, usually a positive contract. A negative one, you're going to kind of learn about manipulation, abusive relationships, or abuse towards other people, people that just want the attention and they'll push you down to get their attention, or get what they deserve or what they feel like they deserve. You may also kind of feel people are willing to do whatever it takes to kind of push you down, take advantage of you, and really don't care about themselves or anything else. And a lot of times, usually in negative soul contracts, people kind of really learn quickly, like, this is not the right person. This is not the right person I want to deal with in this way. And so that's kind of the interesting part about soul contracts, is kind of what is in that soul contract. And you can do, like I said, meditations to figure out what's in your soul contract. But it's also, if you always approach life with a great insight into what's going on or how you're supposed to do things, it's going to work out better for you than not. That's kind of the best way to put it. So the more better you treat other people, the better off it's going to be. And then we're going to add kind of like that karma to it and some other things. So hold on a second. We're going to keep going. So let's keep going. Let's talk about this. So kind of how to prepare for our contracts. And a lot of times it's really interesting because these are all done in heaven at a certain time. When we're all up in heaven, kind of dealing with things, we can pick our parents. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes we pick like, okay, in this life, I'm going to be a glutton for punishment. I'm going to pick the worst set of parents. I'm going to get a set of parents that are going to teach me some life lessons that I'm not going to learn any other way. And usually that's the lifetime where you had a lot of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, molestations, all that kind of stuff. And so you're going like, why would anybody choose this? Because in our soul, we were trying to get like a whole bunch of like life lessons checked off our boxes. That's why. That's kind of the crazy part, but we do it anyway. So it's kind of like we wanted all of this off. We may also have some interesting relationships with our brother and sisters. So I've had several people that have come to me over the years that have had soul contracts with their brother or sister to be molested by them, be beaten by them, all that kind of stuff. And you're going like, why? There are certain lessons you're going to find in those people that learned them very early that someone else might not learn until their 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s. And they learned it at 7. That's what I'm talking about. You're just like, what? Yeah. It's one of those, when you have a very abusive background, usually it's because you've learned lessons that other people aren't going to learn for a long period of time or will not ever learn in that lifetime. So it's kind of crazy. And so kind of that agreements to have that negative behavior, that kind of, you're just like, are you serious? Yes. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong or anything else. It's kind of like they could have chosen not to do it. They could have chosen not to beat you. They could have chosen not to molest you. They could have chosen not to do this. They could have chosen, but they didn't. They chose this. And you had a contract in this so you could learn this lesson. So it's kind of like, okay. And a lot of times it's kind of things that, like I said, that we learned really young in abusive, crazy households that you're kind of like, I wish I hadn't learned this, but you learned it. And so, but now you've got it checked off and you never have to go back there again. You never have to do that again. I will tell you, a lot of times soul contracts are meant to bring you success. And like some of that can be just learning life lessons. Some of it is a lot of soul revelations and kind of like soul contracts coming in of kind of like making you more money or doing certain things, influencing the lessons that you learn about money, going through hardship. And this is kind of one of those, like a lot of times like people go, oh, I think someone's cursing me because I'm like failing in this business. The failure is part of the life lesson. I know. The failure is part of the life lesson. It's meant to teach you something. One of my favorite statements or quotes is from Mary Kay Ash. And hers is, you fall forward into success. And it's so true. You fall in those failures. Every time you fall down, every time you do something wrong, every time you kind of make a mistake, you are learning how to make that better. And if you hadn't started from like, I made this mistake, I made this mistake, I made this mistake, the next time you're going to be like, I made this mistake, I'm not going to do that again. I made this mistake, but maybe it didn't turn out so bad. Maybe this one was like, we're never going to go use that bank before, or I'm not going to trust this person anymore, or whatever else. There are things that you learn, and every time you think, I'm starting from square one again, no, you are so not starting from square one again. You're starting with all of those life lessons that you've already learned from the failure, pushing you forward. Like, yes, you're going to make it. And a lot of times, like, that's kind of the best way to put it. Like when you make those, have that negative behavior, like you failed, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. It's one of those, it pushes you to succeed. The people that laugh at you going like, you're going to do a business that's whatever. I had that. I had people look at me like, you're going to be a psychic? That's crazy. Okay, you can think it's crazy all you want. It's what I want in my life, and it's something that I was drawn to for years. And for a while, I was kind of like, are you serious? I'm going to do this? Until I acknowledged it and did it, and it was like, okay, here we go. And it's one of those, now I really don't care. And a lot of those people that were kind of judging me before, going like, you're going to do this, they've left my life. And it's one of those, I bless them on their path. It's one of those, their judgment, what they've gone through in their life made them tell me that. And all it did was kind of put like a spur in my side of like, yes, I'm going to keep going. Yes, I'm going to keep empowering myself to keep moving forward. And I love what I do. It's one of those, like, that's the best part of this. Like, I have a job that I love to do. I love to do psychic readings. I love to do group readings. And so it's kind of like, I don't want to talk, like, things as an ad. I'm just saying, like, that's the cool part. Like, I got something out of this that I really, really love, but I failed first. I made mistakes. I did things wrong. And as long as I did them with the right intentions, not too long ago, I had a client that didn't get her recording from her reading. And I kept saying, like, I think that should be in here and everything else. It was a mistake I made. And so now I know how to fix that mistake and how to keep going in that mistake. Sometimes when I first started, I would say, like, I feel like this. And I didn't understand, like, they were like, well, I'm not doing that. Or like, I feel like you're getting a new car. And they're like, well, I got a new car last year. Maybe it was their angels and guides saying, like, you're going to be with this car for the next 10 years, so enjoy it. I kind of misinterpreted things a long time ago that I don't do now, because I learned through that failure of how to do it better, how to do it the right way, how to say it to certain people. And I guarantee you, that's kind of the cool part, is I have learned some amazing lessons in my business, and it keeps propelling me forward. And it's something that I was telling a client today, like, I love what I do. I really do. I love my business. I love what I kind of end up doing. And so that's kind of the fun part. Plus, I get to talk to you guys every Thursday. So besides doing tons of videos and all that kind of stuff, because I really think it's kind of part of my life purpose is to teach other people. kind of the full life experience is what you make of it. If you keep harping on the failures and the things that went wrong and someone abused me when this happened or whatever else, and you keep going back to that and all that kind of stuff, you're going to stay in the past and you're never going to move forward. When you kind of go, okay, that sucked, I never want to go there again, but let's keep going, that's when you keep moving forward. But I know so many people that kind of live in that energy of like, this person lied to me, and they hold on to that grudge forever. Or this person did this and they cheated me out of this, and they're holding on to that grudge. Holding on to that grudge is only going to keep you stuck to it. The other person is kind of like already forgotten about it. If you ever asked them about it, they'd be like, what? I did what? Let that stuff go. The things that are not meant to hold you back a lot of times hold people back because they're hanging on to the energy of it. Someone lied, someone did this to me, or whatever else. And so it's kind of like the energy of it. I get asked a lot, is there kind of like soulmates? Do we have soul contracts with them? And I will guarantee that there are some similarities to kind of like a soul contract or soulmates energy, or kind of people say twin flames. And it's one of those. And it's one of those, sometimes these people are literally supposed to be our soul contract. They're kind of like part of that soul family on the other side. But a lot of times people see them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is my person. And they force a relationship. They kind of like, they're going to be my soulmate now and forever. And even if we outgrow each other, and they keep forcing that person back into their lives. And a lot of times, it's kind of not what needed to happen. It's one of those, like, this person was supposed to be your friend or a significant other for a period of time, and you're like hanging onto that, like, I'm not going to let them go. I found my soulmate, and I'm not going to let them go. And a lot of times, like, that can really push people away in some areas of like, get out, get out. So that kind of that energy of that soulmate twin flame energy can really bring in a lot of energy with it itself. And a lot of times it's holding you to a contract that you had a long time ago, and you may not be the same person you were meant to be because you've changed or amended or fixed contracts that didn't work for you, and then you changed or fixed and something else that was like that energy of like, how do I fix this? How do I deal with this? And so kind of the interesting part is kind of being able to kind of work through kind of like breaking spiritual contracts with people that aren't holding up their end of the agreement, or now you're choosing not to hold your end of the agreement. That can be a great way to kind of like bring in, like, I'm breaking this spiritual, kind of like this soul contract with someone else, and I'm not going to kind of be in a relationship with them, or I found out that they're not holding up to their end of the agreement and I'm not going to hold up to mine. So that can really change in kind of that energy of it, of kind of like what's coming in and kind of how does this happen. So that's kind of like kind of energy. But I will tell you, you can make significant changes to your contracts. You can change the flowing of your contract. And a lot of it really, really starts with making new contracts, making new agreements with other people. And a lot of those are kind of made on the fly sometimes, like, we're going to go into business together and we're going to do this and we're going to do this together. So that can kind of really bring in a lot of change for you. It can bring in a lot of really great last minute, like, didn't know this was going to change us, but it really, really did. Soul contracts can bring in a lot of healing too, because if you're not holding on to the past and you're ready to move forward, someone who's holding on to the past a lot is going to hold you back to that. It's one of those, you're kind of linked arm in arm when you're together, and it's like they're holding you back and they're kind of pulling you back to the past when you're ready to make changes forward, when you're ready to kind of push that energy more and more forward, and they're kind of holding you to the past. That can kind of be like, what are we going to do with this? One of the things I will tell you that kind of when you kind of amplify your own spiritual growth, your spiritual journey, your compassion, your love for everybody, and you hold on to that more than anything else, your life is going to be easier. Your life is going to be more simple, because one of the big things is you're not going to have big bad karma come after you from time to time. If you're living and treating everybody the best way you can, holding them like, I'm treating you just as well as you're treating me, and I'm not doing anything less or more, anything else, when that energy comes in at you, you're going to kind of like surge forward, because other people may be holding on to old karma, old energy, and having it come back and bite them. But if you're really working with people and kind of like, I am holding you up to the best agreement that I can have, I'm going to be honest and truthful with you, I'm going to work in this manner, I'm going to do these things together, that can be something that can not only bring in healing for you, but it can bring in healing for so much more. It can bring in amazing healing for you, for them, and for other people, kind of like your soul family, kind of like who's coming in with you. This is something that can really, like I said, really help you and help others as well, kind of bring in some amazing energy and make some changes to your soul contracts. Now, I guarantee you, I'm going to do more on soul contracts. So if you have any questions, any comments at all, please post them. I will get back to you. And I guarantee you, I am going to be doing more of these, because there's a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have been asking me about soul contracts for a long period of time. So if you have questions, if you have doubts, how do you do this? How do you don't do this? That is something that I will be doing in another video, and I guarantee I'll be answering your question. So let's do some angel cards and kind of get our angels information on all of this. So kind of let's do this. This card is just popping, and I thought it was me pulling it out, but it's not. Answered prayers. To understand your soul contracts are really answered prayers. Answered prayers are kind of like, I've been wanting to know how to break this relationship, or do I have to abide by this relationship if they're not abiding by the relationship? All of those things. No, you can break soul contracts. You can modify soul contracts. You can renegotiate soul contracts. So it doesn't mean like you need to stay in with that person, but it's one of those, what's really important is knowing that you can change them, you can modify them, and especially if someone else isn't living up to their end of the agreement, that you can change it. Trust that you're living up to your end, and trust in your heart, mind, and soul in this, of you are living up to your end of the agreement. And if something isn't working, or something isn't honorable or truthful, you're ready to let it go and let it be changed and modified by your angels and guides. It's a great way to do that. Take care. Body care is all about taking care of you. You are kind of the most important person in your world. I know a lot of people are like, no, it's my kids, it's my husband, it's my blah, 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 spouse. It's about you, taking care of you. And if you're in soul contracts with people that aren't holding up to their end of the agreement, it can really put you in stress, anxiety, issues, because you're holding on to something that isn't working. And so to kind of take care of yourself is to let go a lot of that, and let go of things. I know people that are kind of like, and 30 years ago, that happened. Seriously, it was 30 years ago and you're still hanging on to that energy. I guarantee you it's done some damage to your body, because you're hanging on to old things that you should have let go of. Surrender and release. This is what we're talking about. Surrender and release that energy. Things that aren't working for you, let them go. Do not hang on to that. Do not hold on to that energy any longer than you have to, because it is wearing you out, and it's going to keep you tired and cranky and like, I don't want to do anything. I thought I wanted to start a business, but now I'm so tired and cranky all the time, I don't want to. And so therefore, then you're not living up to your soul contract, to yourself, of what do you want to bring into this world? What do you want to create? Truth and integrity, the best answer for anything. Holding truth and integrity in your contracts. When you feel a soul contract there, kind of know that what's coming up next, or kind of what you feel like you need to do, is really the truth. Kind of holding up to that soul contract is really going to be what is going on. That soul contract is bringing you this information so you can keep evolving. Blessings. Soul contracts are all about blessings. They're kind of commitments to with other people before you even move into this world, of who's going to do what, how is it going to be done, and what lessons are we going to learn. And that can be such an amazing lesson to learn those. Soul contracts are meant to bring healing. They are meant to teach you lessons. They are meant to help you. They are not meant to hold you back. They are not meant to overwhelm you. They are meant to keep people in your life that are supporting you, and you can support them, all in amazing ways, and bring in such an amazing healing, not only for you, but for them as well. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.